Hey guys. Hi. Welcome, welcome. Hey everyone. Hey Melly. Good to see you. Hey Belle. Welcome. How's it going tonight? Welcome, welcome. Oh, Belle, great to see you. I'm excited too. I'm excited too. I've been putting this off for so long. Hey. Welcome to the first episode of my Manson Family Talks. This is going to be the first episode in a whole series that I'm going to be doing about cults and extreme beliefs. I'm going to be covering lots of different groups. So we're going to be starting out with the Manson family. And tonight's going to be, oh, thanks, Belleville. I did it with the flat iron. I figured to go with the theme for tonight, I would have the straight kind of 60s hair. I tried to go with the theme. Thank you. So tonight is going to be the introduction to the Manson family members. We're going to kind of go over all the characters or the players kind of and do like a brief introduction to each of them. And hey, home cat, welcome. Great to see you. Welcome to the first of the Manson Family Talks. Now, I honestly really wanted to give you guys a much more professional presentation than what I'm able to give tonight. I really wanted to be able to do screen sharing and share a lot of photographs and newspaper articles. But unfortunately, I'm still not able to figure it out, I'll be honest. But I'm not going to keep putting this off. So I figure I'd rather just start messy than not start at all. So we're just going to start messy, guys. I got notes. I got so many notes. It's so much, there's so much information out there about the Manson family. And so many movies where like some of it is loosely based on fact, and books where like not all of the details are right. And then you go on YouTube and there's so much information. I've been watching so many different channels. Millie, you broke your toe. Oh, Millie, I feel like something's always happening to you. Oh, that sucks. I hope you feel better. Hey, Jojo Nanny. Leslie Von Houten. Leslie Von Houten was released already. Leslie Von Houten was released. I heard a few weeks ago that she was released. Yeah, I did. I'm not sure if maybe I had misunderstood. No, I don't think I misunderstood. I did hear Jojo Nanny, yeah. To my understanding, she was already released. I could be wrong, but I heard a few weeks ago that Leslie Von Houten was released already, yeah. Uh-huh. And it's funny, upon studying all of the girls, and I thought I knew, honestly, when she was released a few weeks ago. She's out. Leslie Von Houten is out. I really wanted to be able to contact her, honestly. I would love to be able to find a way to contact her and have an interview. I was amazed, a month and a half ago. So let's see, I started on YouTube. It was May 16th or May 18th. And so like 6 weeks ago, a month and a half ago, I came into this thinking that I knew like so much, pretty much everything about the Manson family. And then when I realized I wanted to do like a video covering all the members, and I wanted to do a deep dive inside the mind of each of the family members, which is what we're going to start out with Leslie Von Houten next week. We're going to start out with her, yeah. Chaos, Helmcat says, Chaos, a book by Tom O'Neill, is really good, but still leaves a lot of unanswered questions. Okay, I've never read that, but I'm definitely going to take note. Thank you. Definitely going to take note. There's so much information. There's so many books. It's just so much information. And then you go on YouTube and it's a whole nother world of information now that's available. I've learned so much just in the past 6 weeks that like I thought I knew a lot about some of these characters. And then like once I got on YouTube and started looking up like prison interviews and stuff. Hey, natural born leader. Hey girl, hey. Welcome. How you feeling? Great to see you. Oh, really, Jojo Nanny? Oh, okay. She's still not finally out yet. They said in about 2 to 3 more weeks. Our governor stated today he will not fight her release. Oh, wow. Thanks. Thank you. Thanks so much. Yeah, I did it special for tonight to go with the 60s theme. Yeah, so like I thought I knew so much, and it's funny because my one of the Manson family members who was like my favorite for some reason, and it sounds crazy to have a favorite, but it's understandable that this has become like they have a cult following, because it's so much that sucks you in. It's so much that sucks you in, and then you got like the stuff with Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys and all this stuff, and you know you come to realize more and more and more as you learn about it. But I was watching a lot of prison interviews, and I watched interviews with Diane Sawyer from I think 1993. She interviewed Patricia Krenwinkel, Leslie Von Houten, and Susan Atkins. Oh no, I think Susan Atkins declined that interview. My notes are such a mess. I'm so sorry. I really wanted this to be like professional, but it's not. But that's okay. We work with what we got. She's 73. Oh, thank you. Oh, natural born leader. You're braver than I am. Okay. So yeah. Susan Atkins, she was also known as Sadie, or Sexy Sadie, was she was known on Spawn Ranch. Now it's funny, I was learning about Spawn's Ranch. So that's the place where they all resided. They had like a commune going on there. That's where they all lived. And I was trying to find out how did they come to stay there. And so the story was that it was a ranch, and there was an older gentleman who was working the ranch on his own, an older man, and they came and volunteered to work for him and work out the horses and stuff and take care of everything in exchange for lodging. And I guess he passed away, and then they inherited it, supposedly. Housekeeping, welcome. Speculation Station, hey. And so Susan Atkins, like she was the one that I was so kind of enamored with. And I always said like she was my favorite. And then I don't know, I guess I didn't really process. Oh, thanks, housekeeping. Hey Gemma. Gemma, good to see you. Thank you. When I came to learn the horrors of what she did, of what Susan Atkins did, she was supposedly responsible. Oh wow. Before I go any further, let me give a disclaimer that tonight's presentation is intended for a mature audience, and we'll be covering sensitive topics of a graphic nature. If you feel it's going to be too much for you, please feel free to skip this video. This will be a trigger warning. Just wanted to give that. So, okay. Susan Atkins was supposedly responsible for unaliving Sharon Tate. So Sharon Tate was a beautiful actress from the 60s. And I knew her only from Valley of the Dolls. I knew her in Valley of the Dolls, and I know she was beautiful. And she was pregnant at the time of her unaliving. She was 8 months pregnant, and Susan Atkins took responsibility for that, saying that she held the knife, saying that she assisted in hanging her. Um, then later on, 20 years later, I think it was no, it might have been 1980 something or 1993, like 15 to 20 years later, in a prison interview, or maybe before the interview, she came out now as denying it and saying that she only said that she did these things, like she wanted to take the responsibility, like she was bragging, she wanted to be cool, and that it wasn't true. She also became a born again Christian in prison. She became a born again Christian. She was pen pals with all different kinds of men. She was pen pals with a lot of people, and she became pen pals with a man that she got married to, that he was very much enamored with her, and he was bent on getting her free. He said, I'm going to get you out of here, you know. As she married him, let me find my notes here. I'm sorry, my notes are a mess. Let's see. Hey, Joey Bean. Welcome. Great to see you. Thank you. Oh, really? Housekeeping? Yeah, it is. It is crazy. I wonder what my parents thought of this at the time, too, you know? Because I wasn't born yet, but I wonder what my mom thought of all this. Like, I really do. Let me think. My parents were born in 56. So in 1967. Okay. Sorry, guys. Thanks for just bearing with me. I really should have had my notes in better order. I apologize. Trying to find the name of her husband, of the guy that she married, Susan Atkins. I know I wrote it down. Oh, yeah, another thing about Susan Atkins is that I was finding out that she had, before she came to the ranch, when she was a teenager, she had one son who was adopted. So she had a son before she came to the ranch with Manson and everything. She had a son that she put up for adoption beforehand. Um, she had a rough upbringing, Susan Atkins. She came from a poor family, and her parents, they have it that her parents split up, or that no, that her mom passed away. Her mom passed away when she was 14, and then she ran away from home. So her mom passed away when she was 14. She ran away from home, and that must have been the time that she got pregnant with the son that she gave up for adoption. Trying to find the name of the guy that she married in jail. It was Don something. Don. Uh, it's somewhere in my notes. I swear I'm probably looking right at it and not seeing it or something. Oh, yeah, I wonder, like, what my parents made of all this, you know? Because I know, like, my mom saw me getting interested in it as a teenager and didn't really have much to say. Um, I don't know if this other phone will work or not. I'm not sure. I'm gonna check if I can Google it right now. Yeah, I think I could. Okay, yeah, his name was Donald Lee Laisure, Laisure. Donald Lee Laisure. That was his name. He was very much enamored of her, and they were pen pals. And she had become a born again Christian. And that's another thing. She became, yes. Oh, thanks, JoJo Nanny. I just had to Google it. Yeah. Because I said, wait a minute, who was it? Yes. So she took responsibility. She took responsibility for unaliving Sharon Tate. And then the story goes, oh, yeah, sure. No, that's absolutely fine, Jilly Bean. That's absolutely fine. I didn't even see it. Honestly, I'm not sure if it took because you might have to be a mod to drop it. If it didn't come, then if one of my mods wouldn't mind dropping Jilly Bean's link, that would be great. Yeah. Probably if you tried to drop it, I don't know if it would or not, but that's totally fine, Jilly Bean. Um, okay. So she was convicted for her participation in 8 of the unalivings, including the most notorious, the Tate murders in 1969. And she was sentenced to death, subsequently commuted to life imprisonment, where the California Supreme Court invalidated all death sentences prior to 1972. So she stayed in jail until her death in September of 2009 from brain cancer. Aw, thank you, Melly. Melly dropped your link, Jilly Bean. Probably if you go to put it, it won't take, I think. But my mod's got you. It's fine. Thank you, Melly. Thank you. So, she took responsibility for unaliving Sharon Tate. And Sharon Tate was 8 months pregnant. But the thing is, Susan Atkins also took responsibility for unaliving Gary Hinman, which we later found out she didn't. That was done by, shoot, what was it, Tex Watson? It's so much. I'm sorry, guys. I know. She took responsibility. So what happened was she was in jail and she was bragging to her bunkmate. She was bragging to her bunkmate about how she did this, like before she had went to trial or something. And then later, like 20 years later, she's saying that she didn't actually do it. She was just saying that like for clout, I guess. I don't know, but she's disturbing to me. She's actually very disturbing to me, Susan Atkins, because I'm not sure what to make of her. The one who was least disturbing to me was Leslie Von Houten. Leslie Von Houten. Um, Upon listening to all of the interviews, a lot of it, what I watched was the interviews with Diane Sawyer, and a lot of my information came from a channel which is now one of my new favorite YouTube channels. It's called The Back Porch Tapes. The Back Porch Tapes, and I linked this channel in the description box for this video. If you click the description box, it's called Michael's Back Porch. The Back Porch Tapes. It is an excellent channel, all about it's an excellent channel, all covering all of like the Manson family members. This guy was like pen pals with a lot of the Manson family members. In jail, he has all these letters from Leslie Van Houten, from Susan Atkins. Now the funny thing is that one sec. The funny thing was that I had such like a twisted perception of these people or these characters, I think, until I started watching a lot of the interviews on YouTube. And I watched a lot of the trial also. There was like 40 minutes of footage. A lot of it came from Michael's back porch. Hey, glam it up, glam with Kimberly. Oh, I don't know if I could ever get used to that. I wish that I had figured out the screen sharing. Guys, if anyone knows how to do screen sharing from an Android phone, if like somebody would want to maybe email me and maybe help me through it. I've tried so much trying to do screen sharing and I just really couldn't figure it out. I really want to be able to show you guys pictures, photographs, and like newspaper articles as I talked a little bit about each of the family members, you know. So Susan Atkins ended up passing away in jail at age 61 from brain cancer. So she was 61 years old and she kept trying to appeal it. She tried to appeal that several times, and the husband that she had was trying to help her in these interviews and stuff. He would have like these pre-recorded messages for her. It was funny that I can't believe they allowed it. They allowed her conjugal visits and everything. Mm-hmm. Glam it up. Oh, hey, Mitten Mama. Welcome. Good to see you. Great to see you. Yeah, so if anybody knows how to help me to do the screen sharing from an Android phone, I would so very much appreciate that. My email is taraf1227@gmail.com. So yeah, I mean, and well, according to every version of the story, they do have it where Susan Atkins is the one unaliving Sharon Tate. So we will give her responsibility for that, you know? And it's just odd that like later on she came out and said like that she was, you know, she was bragging to her bunkmate and stuff. And hey, Fierce Cannon Clips, welcome. Thank you. Great to see you. Thank you. So like I don't know about her, you know, and it's funny because in her later interviews, I don't know. I didn't honestly with her, I didn't see remorse. I didn't see any kind of remorse. I don't think she internalized what she did. It didn't look like she internalized the horrors of what happened. Whereas with Leslie Van Houten, you can see that she was remorseful. You can tell that she internalized the horrors of what actually happened. You could tell. I'm not surprised that she, you know, got out or is about to be released. Thank you. Oh my God, housekeeping. Stop. Look, I'm going to highlight your comment. I can't. Thank you. Hey, Teresa. Welcome. Thank you. Thanks. Get glam with Kimberly. I always will think of you as glam it up, but I'll call you glam with Kimberly. Thank you. Thank you. So, Leslie Van Houten, at the age of 44. So now she's 73. So that was 30 years ago. So 30 years ago, she was age 44, and she had her interview with Diane Sawyer, and this was in 1993. And she said, and this is in quotes, she said in quotes, "I think that the violence in us was somehow nurtured and brought forth. It didn't happen overnight." And she said, "He spent a lot of time taking middle class girls and remolding them," which is true. And I learned a lot about Charles Manson in all of this too. And what I found is that he is not this profound cult leader that he might have like been portrayed to be in all of these movies and everything. He wasn't saying this profound stuff. He didn't have these massive ideas of the universe. And no, he didn't have any of that. He was a con man. He was a skilled, manipulative con man preying on young girls. And everything that they heard, they thought, "Whoa, this is the most amazing, profound thing I've ever heard." When he said to them things like, "There's no real such thing as time. Time is just a made up thing, man. People made that up. No such thing as time." And they thought, "Wow, this is so profound. This guy has all the answers." Did you guys know that Charles Manson was in jail for many years before this? He was in jail for many years before this. What did they say he was in jail for? My goodness, I wrote this down. Her eyes. Aw. I did notice that about her eyes, but I can't speak on that because mine are so dark on my own that how could I possibly criticize hers? Mine have that look too. But there's something very unsettling about her, I'll be honest. There's something very unsettling about the whole thing, really unsettling, that I think a lot of people probably just don't take the time or didn't take the time to sit down and actually process this during the time when it happened, because if they did, that would make it real to them. That would show them the reality and the horror of it. And the horror of it is that this is a bunch of young girls, young women, and a few young men. But young girls doing this, and it makes you think about like your daughters or your nieces or whatever, even about yourself when you were that age. And it makes you think, was it something in them that all of them had something like in them that we don't have in us? Were they born with that seed? Were they born with that psychopath gene that like, even if they never would have met Charles Manson, they still might have committed something horrific like that? Or no, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know I don't know what to make of that. That's why I want to have these talks with you guys, because it's not like a presentation. It's more like I want to get input. What is it like? So say if all of those girls never met Charles Manson, do you think there's any way possible that any of them still might have committed these horrific acts? That maybe they had that gene in them? Or is it that what the main gist of this is that they're saying that all of us have this seed in us, that they're not different than us? I don't understand. Like, which way is it? Because it's one way or the other. It's not both. It's not both. So it's got to be one or the other. And now, like with Susan Atkins, I don't see remorse. I don't know what to make of that one. With Leslie Von Houten, I'm sorry, it's Von Houten. I do see remorse in her, and I think she realizes the horrors of what she did, and she even understands like the inside of what made her vulnerable to that, what made her so vulnerable. And it was the times. A lot of it was the times and the culture. And Charles Manson, he was in jail for like being a con man. I can't think of like, hold on, hang on one second. So I didn't realize that he was in jail like prior to all of this. he was a con man. He was in jail, and when he got out, it was what, 1967, and he came to be in Haight-Ashbury, which was the height of everything going on in the 60s with the hippies and sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And he's just standing in Haight-Ashbury looking around, just got out of jail. And he said a girl came up to him and handed him a flower and just said love. And at that moment, he knew, like, oh, shoot, something's going on, man. Things are different. And he took that as a major opportunity. He was an opportunistic con man, and he was skilled at what he was doing, and he was manipulative. And these young girls thought that what he was saying was so profound and different and life, like, changing, when in fact it was just like ridiculous. Yeah, but it's not like, and also the LSD had a lot to do with it. The LSD had a lot to do with it. He was giving them acid trips and then just like sitting them around in a circle and pretty much trying to strip away any, like, their beliefs, getting at them, asking them questions to figure out like their moral fibers, and figure out exactly how he needed to remold them. Yeah, it's sickening when you think about it, because honestly, when I was a teenager, I used to think he was cool, and I thought the whole thing was cool. And then as I got to be a little bit older, even my late teens, I realized, no, I didn't think he was cool. I thought the girls were cool, right? So I thought the girls would be his knees, way cool. And then, like, once I started looking into them in real life, like in the YouTube interviews and stuff, I realized the horrors of everything, of him and of them, and it just makes me wonder, so is it that they had something in them that we don't have in us? Is it that those girls had a seed or something in them, whereas they might have committed these horrific acts even if they never met Charles Manson? Or is it that all of us have it in us if provoked and manipulated? Because I find both of them hard to believe, I can't really wrap my mind around both, but I want to, like, better understand it. And I've been watching so much stuff. What did I want to look up here? I'm sorry. I know that's not the most fascinating thing. That's why I just called it the Manson Family Talks, because it's just going to be talks every week, where we kind of like have like an open discussion, and I want all the input from you guys, just so we can get like a better understanding of this. What is it that I meant to look up? Oh, I'm losing everything. Sorry. Sorry, guys. Is she related to him? Is who related to him? Oh, I meant to look up what was he in jail for. Is who related to him as YouTube turns. What were... Oh, I hate this. It was all him influencing them and the mix of drugs. Am I related to him? No. Not that I know of. Okay. So it says, okay, Charles Manson was born November 12th, 1934, the illegitimate son of a 16-year-old girl named Kathleen Maddox. His father, who Manson never met, was Colonel Scott from Ashland, Kentucky. Oh, wow. It's 1939. Manson's mother, a heavy drinker, sentenced to prison for armed robbery. His mother, when he was like 4 years old. Manson's mother tries to send Charles to a foster home. A court orders him to the Gibwalt School for Boys in Indiana. 1948, Manson commits his first known crime, the burglary of a grocery store. He is caught and sent to juvenile detention center. He escapes and commits 2 armed robberies. Apprehended again, Manson is sent to the Indiana School for Boys in Plainfield, where he spends the next 3 years, except for brief periods of freedom during 18 escapes. 18 times he tried to escape from the School for Boys. And then in 1951, Manson escapes the School for Boys and heads west in a stolen car, burglarizing 15 to 20 gas stations along the way. He was caught in Utah and sent to the National Training School for Boys in Washington, D.C. A psychiatrist calls Manson a slick but extremely sensitive boy. Aw, thanks, Mitten Mama. 18 times. Slick, but extremely sensitive. 1952. In his last act of criminal violence before the 1969 murmurs, Manson, there's no good way to say this. So he did, there's no good way to really say that, but la, 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 la. 1952, Manson is moved to a more secure reformatory in Ohio. 1955. Hey, Mama Cannoli. Welcome. Good to see you. Manson marries Rosalie Willis, a waitress from Wheeling. The couple produces a child, Charles Jr. Manson works as a parking lot attendant and busboy and steals cars. In October, he is arrested for auto theft and sentenced to 5 years probation. Okay, so he got married, had a baby, starts working as a parking lot attendant. This is Charles Manson they're talking about. Starts working as a parking lot attendant and busboy and steals cars. And then in October of 1955, he's arrested for auto theft and sentenced to 5 years probation. 1956, Manson is sentenced to 3 years imprisonment in San Pedro, California, for violating terms of his probation. Then in 58, oh, really? Natural born leader? Oh my God, that's so funny. I love it. Then in 1958, Manson's divorced. His ex-wife retains custody of their child. Manson is released on parole and becomes a pimp in Southern California. That's what it is. That's what it was. So how surprising is that Charles Manson was a pimp? 1959, Manson is arrested for forging a treasury check, given a 10-year suspended sentence. Then in January, he marries, this time, a 19-year-old. In April, he is indicted on Federal Mann Act charges, arrested in Laredo, and brought back to California, where he is ordered to prison to serve a 10-year sentence that had been suspended in 1959. Then it says in 1961, Manson is transferred to a federal penitentiary at McNeil Island, Washington. He claims to be a Scientologist, and this was in 1961. Charles Manson claims to be a Scientologist. Prison psychiatrists say that he has deep-seated personality problems. 1963. After fathering a second child, Charles Luther Manson Manson is again divorced. 1964. Manson becomes obsessed by the music of the Beatles. He learns to play a steel guitar. 1966. Manson aspires to be a songwriter and devotes most of his spare time in prison to the task. Then, on March 21st of 1967, Manson asks prison officials to let him remain in prison, but having completed a 10-year prison term, he is released. This is in 1967, before all of this stuff happened. In 1967, Manson asks prison officials to let him remain in prison, but having completed a 10-year prison term, he is released. He heads for San Francisco. I wonder if he told them that he felt like he was dangerous. He probably did. He might have told them that he felt he was a dangerous person, Not like it matters, it made a difference, but I think he was self-aware, yeah. Yeah, Millie, he probably did. I bet he was self-aware enough to know that if he got out, he was, some horrific stuff would happen, yeah. And look at his past. It was all nothing but trouble, yeah. And at the end of this video and in the description box, I will cite all of my sources for information. There's only a few articles and Wikipedia, and I just want to give credit to any sources that I have. Most of it came from YouTube videos and just knowledge through the years, but there's some stuff on Wikipedia. And this here that I'm reading, it's from famoustrials.com. I'll give credit to everything in the description box. Okay. So that was in March of 1967, and he had completed a 10-year term, and he was released. He heads for San Francisco. Then in the summer of 1968, Manson and a number of his followers, now called the Family, move into Spahn Ranch in Southern California. December of 1968. The Beatles released their White Album, which proves to be a great influence in Manson's thinking. March 23rd, 1969. Manson visits 150 Cielo Drive, the Tate residence, looking for Terry Melcher, who he hopes might publish his music. Tate's photographer curtly tells Manson to leave by the back alley, possibly supplying a motive for the later attack at the Tate home. So he felt insulted. Manson went to visit Terry Melcher. He was like a record producer or something. He worked in the music industry. And Charles Manson was hoping that Terry Melcher could get him like a record deal, a music deal. And when he got to the house, he told him to wait like by the back alley, to leave through the back alley, as if he was embarrassed and he didn't want his neighbors to see him. He was embarrassed of him. And they said, oh, possibly that was a motive for Manson wanting to go to that specific house on Cielo Drive. But he wanted to take out every person in every house on that whole block of Cielo Drive. They got to the last house and they did that first. And then the second night they went back, and that was the LaBianca murmurs. And that was a married couple. I think they ran a supermarket chain, something like that. And it was that was the LaBianca home. Yeah. So then July 31st of 1969, a music teacher named Gary Hinman I'll just say it. I probably have to turn off monetization. I don't know. Or unalived by knife. It's a clever way, okay. Unalived by knife. Um, on the wall near the body in Hinman's blood was printed "Political Piggy." August 8th of 1969, Manson tells family members, now is the time for Helter Skelter. That evening, he tells Patricia Krenwinkel, Susan Atkins, Tex Watson, and Linda Kasabian to get knives and changes of clothes. As he sends them from the ranch on their mission, he tells them to leave a sign, something witchy. Watson drives to the Tate residence. Oh, you're playing Mousetrap, Belbo? That's a great game. That is an awesome game that, I don't know if we have it. I'm totally going to get it, though. I bought it recently. I bought it a few years ago it was a toy drive around Christmas time. I bought it for the toy drive, but we don't have it. I'm going to get it. Mousetrap. Oh, guys, my eyebrows are very red and irritated. I just got them waxed today. That's why my eyebrows are looking a little weird. I couldn't fill them in or anything, and they're just. Mousetrap. That is a good one. That is a great game. He sends them from the ranch on their mission. Oh, yeah, he's okay. So then August 9th, right? Ha ha. Yeah. Guys, I'm going to cam off just for 2 minutes. I'll keep talking. It's not going off. Bell. Yeah, we got to get it. I bought it a few years back for one of those toy drives. Hang on 1 second. Oh, no. Okay. Alrighty. Where was I now? Oh, yeah. So, August 9th, 1969, shortly after midnight, the brutal attack on residents at the Tate residence begins. All in all, 102 stab wounds are inflicted on 4 victims. 102. A 5th victim is shot, and that took out Sharon Tate, Jay Sebring, Wojtek Frokowski, Abigail Folger, and Stephen Parent. The murmurs were discovered by the housekeeper, Winifred Chapman, the next morning. The housekeeper came and found this. Can you imagine? All of this was found by the housekeeper. Well, the 4 family members returned to Spahn Ranch, where Manson criticizes them for doing a messy job. That night, Manson, along with Patricia Krenwinkel, Tex Watson, Leslie Von Houten, and Linda Kasabian, cruised around looking for potential victims. Yahtzee, that's another good one. Aw, Belbo. Oh, that's great. Yeah, we're not having our game night tonight because Evelyn's at camp. Evelyn is still at sleepaway camp. She comes home tomorrow. We'll be happy to have her home, but I know she's been having the time of her life this whole week. She's definitely been having the time of her life. Yeah, maybe tomorrow or the next day, I want to have a sit down with you guys and talk to you all about camp and my memories there. How when I went to that camp for 5 summers in a row growing up. It was the best time of my life. I want to share some of that with you guys, and I'll share some pictures. I'll find a way to share some pictures. I'm gonna figure it out, guys. I will. And if anybody can, like, possibly, maybe might be willing to walk me through that of how to do screen sharing to share pictures via StreamYard, so that I can share files or pictures from my phone. It's an Android phone, and it's all I'm working with right now. So if somebody might be able to help me with that, that would be awesome, and I would really, really appreciate it. Yeah. Oh, natural born leader. I know. I know. Yeah, she will. So then, August 10th of 1969, in the early morning hours, family members unalive Lino and Rosemary LaBianca. The words "death to pigs" and "helter skelter" are found printed on a wall and a refrigerator door. September 1st, 1969. Under a bush near his home, a 10-year-old boy finds the GUN used in the Tate murders. The boy's father turns it over to LAPD. The LAPD fails to do a proper investigation. October 12, 1969. Manson is arrested at Barker Ranch in Death Valley and charged with grand theft auto. He is put in jail for Independence. Then, while incarcerated in Los Angeles on other charges, Susan Atkins. Okay, here's what happened. Here's what happened with our girl Susan Atkins. November 6, 1969. While incarcerated in Los Angeles on other charges, Susan Atkins tells a fellow inmate, Virginia Castro, that she participated in the Tate murders. She tells Castro of a death list of celebrities targeted by the family, including Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton, Tom Jones, Steve McQueen, and Frank Sinatra. She's bragging to her bunkmate. Okay. November 12th, 1969. Al Springer, a visitor to the Spahn Ranch, tells LAPD detectives that on August 11th or 12th, Charles Manson had bragged about knocking off 5 pigs the other night. Then November 7th, 1969. Danny DiCarlo implicates Manson in the Spahn Ranch murder of Shorty Shea, and also suggests that persons at the Spahn Ranch might have been responsible for the Tate murders. But he tells detectives that he would be afraid to testify. Prosecutors assigned to the Tate-LaBianca case. Tom Jones, LOL, it's not unusual. Good one, housekeeping. Right? Then on August 10th, 1970, Judge Older grants Linda Kasabian immunity from prosecution for the Tate-LaBianca murders in return for agreeing to appear as the prosecution's star witness at the Manson trial. So yeah, Linda Kasabian did that. And she was the lookout that night. And the only reason that Charlie asked her to go that night was because she was the only one out of the group that had a valid driver's license. So Linda Kasabian was asked by Charlie to go because she was the only family member with a valid driver's license. And she stayed to look out, stayed by the car. November 16, 1970, the state rests its case in the Manson trial. The defense announces, without having presented any evidence, that it also rests. November 20th, 1970, Manson announces that he wishes to testify. He makes a strange statement, saying, "The children that come at you with knives are your children." You taught them. I didn't teach them. I just tried to help them stand up. On cross-examination, Bugliosi asks Manson if he thinks he is Jesus Christ. November 30th, 1970. Defense attorney Ronald Hughes fails to show up in court. He is never seen again, leading to speculation that he was murdered by the family. Oh, well. The defense attorney Ronald Hughes. He never showed up in court, and then he was never seen again. So there was speculation that the family murdered him. January 15th, 1971. Vincent Bugliosi presents the prosecution's closing argument in the Manson trial. Sorry. The jury convicts all Tate-LaBianca defendants of first-degree murder. Vincent Bugliosi, yeah. March 29th, 1979. Concluding the penalty phase of the trial, the jury fixes the penalty as death for all four Tate-LaBianca defendants. Then April 19th, 1971, Judge Older sentences Manson to death. Manson is ordered sent to San Quentin's death row. February 18th, 1972. The California Supreme Court declares the death penalty unconstitutional and Manson's sentence automatically reduced to life in prison. October 1972, Manson is transferred to Folsom Prison. 76, Manson is sent to Vacaville Prison, where he remains for the next 9 years. 1984, another inmate claiming God told me to kill Manson sets Manson on fire, causing serious burns on large parts of his body. Then Manson's transferred to San Quentin Prison in 1985. Well, and there's so much more. This goes on all the way up to present day. I might as well keep going. Where are we? Okay, he's in Vacaville for 9 years. Then in 85, he goes to San Quentin. 1988, in a televised interview with Geraldo Rivera, Manson warns, I'm going to chop up more of you, MFers. I'm going to K as many of you as I can. I'm going to pile you up to the sky. March 1989. Manson is transferred to Corcoran Prison. Then 1994. The house at 150 Cielo Drive, formerly rented by Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski, is demolished. March 1997. Manson is denied parole for the 9th time in a hearing broadcast live on Court TV. Manson responds by saying, that's cool. I'm not saying I wasn't involved in Helter Skelter. I'm just saying that I did not break God's law. Thank you. April 2002. Manson is refused parole for the 10th time at a hearing he refused to attend. May 23rd, 2007. Oh, wait, that's what oh no. Manson is refused parole for the 11th time. Manson, now 72 years old, to be up for parole in 2012. Oh, wow, really? Housekeeping? We used to get pizza across the street from that prison in Vacaville. Oh, wow. That's crazy. July 15th, 2008. The parole board denies Susan Atkins' request based on the fact that she has terminal brain cancer and only months to live for a compassionate release. Atkins will now almost certainly die in prison. September 24th, 2009. Atkins passes away. Her husband releases the following statement. Susan passed away peacefully, surrounded by friends and loved ones. Her last whispered word was amen. No one on the face of the earth worked as hard as Susan did to right an unrightable wrong. Wow. November 19th, 2017. Charles Manson dies at age 83 in a Kern County, California hospital of natural causes. Wow. And that was taken from famoustrials.com. The Charles Manson trial, a chronology. famoustrials.com. So let's just go over a little bit about each of the characters we're going to be covering over the next few weeks. We're going to do a once weekly special, and we're going to do a deep dive inside the mind of each of these family members. So next week, we're going to start out with Leslie Von Houten. Then we have Susan Atkins, Pat Krenwinkel, Lynette Squeaky Fromm, Tex Watson, Bobby Beausoleil, Linda Kasabian, Clem, which I'm not sure if Clem was a nickname for one of these other guys, or I didn't look into it, but I know we have Clem, we have Mary Brunner, and Bruce M. Davis. So let's go over a little bit about each of these characters. Aw, thanks, housekeeping. Thank you. So they say that Helter Skelter was gonna be a racially motivated revolution, revolution where they were afraid that blacks were gonna take all the power, and they were gonna have to do something to overthrow them. And they felt it from the Beatles' White Album, or Charlie felt from the Beatles' White Album, that he was getting special messages and stuff about this racially motivated revolution that he was wanting. Charlie had the notion in his head that music became the vehicle that he wanted to use to be able to spread his agenda. So I got that much out of it. He was smarter than people gave him credit for. He was smarter and more skilled and manipulative than people gave him credit for. People don't realize that he was in jail for many years before this. He was a pimp. He knew how to prey on young women, especially. And music was the vehicle that he was going to use to spread this agenda. Linda Kasabian, yeah, she stayed by the car, and she was invited by another family member known as Gypsy to stay at Spawn Ranch. She was in an unhappy marriage. She said that she was not a priority for her husband. She just said, I was not a priority to him. So I guess he treated her badly. And she had a baby that she took with her, a little girl, a young baby girl. And she took the baby with her, left her husband, and went with Gypsy to go stay at the ranch. She was the only member who could legally drive, and she turned herself in, and she got immunity for her testimony. And then there's Mary Brunner. Mary Brunner had one of Manson's sons. Oh my God, we got gifted memberships? I didn't see that. Oh my God, really? I didn't see that. Thank you so much. Thank you for the gifted memberships, housekeeping. Oh, we got gifted memberships. How can I see who got a gifted membership? Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. It doesn't show on my end. Oh, hey, Ashby. Hey, pharmacy girl. Welcome. Good to see you, pharmacy girl. Let's see. The chat is so different in StreamYard. Oh, and then I go on YouTube on the other phone. I see it. Thank you. Oh my God, all these people got gifted memberships. Oh, Bell Bell got a gifted membership. Fierce Cannon Clips. Oh, good. Good. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Housekeeping. Bell Bell, Fierce Cannon Clips. Make It Make Sense. Misfit Granny. Stephanie Loker. Ash B. Janice. Gemma. Yes, Gemma got a gifted membership. Pharmacy Girl. Julie Angela Canavan. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Then we have Mary Brunner. I don't know much about Mary Brunner, but I do know that she had one of Manson's sons. I do know that she had one of Manson's sons. Then we have Lynette Squeaky Fromm. Lynette Fromm, she met Manson in 1967 in Venice Beach, California. She was known as the Den Mother. I didn't know that either. Lynette Fromm was known as the Den Mother. So she was the one that the girls would come to if they were having issues or anything. She was trying to take care of everybody. And after the three girls, after Pat Krenwinkel, Susan Atkins, and Leslie Von Houten, they had went to prison, and Lynette Squeaky Fromm was still out, and she was on the ranch, and she was corresponding with the girls in letters, and the girls were telling her basically like as if they were more loyal to Charlie and everything, and that she should prove her loyalty, that she should have done something to get her hands dirty. She should have been involved that night, and that she needed to do something to prove her loyalty. And so in 1975, Lynette Fromm attempted to assassinate President Gerald R. Ford. And then she was attacked by another inmate with a hammer in Alderson, West Virginia. She was paroled in 2009, Lynette Squeaky Fromm. She was paroled in 2009 at age 60 and went to live in Oneida County, New York. I could have met her, but I believe she passed. I think she passed. Or maybe not. She's not one that I would want to meet, actually. I was actually afraid of her, Lynette Fromm, because even afterwards you could tell that she stayed just as loyal in her head. I think in their late teens to early 20s, yeah, housekeeping. I'll definitely get the exact ages as we go each week for sure. I'll get the exact ages, but I would guess anywhere between like 17 and 25. Yeah. Lynette Squeaky Fromm. She is the one who attempted to assassinate President Ford. Yeah. And the reason why was because the other three girls that were in prison, they were writing letters to her, and Lynette Fromm was still on the ranch. And they were writing letters to her saying that she should have gotten involved that night. She should have gotten her hands dirty, and that she needed to act. She needed to do something to prove her loyalty to Charlie. And so she felt like she had to do something, and she did. She did something big. She attempted, yeah. No, she actually attempted it. She didn't just threaten it. She actually attempted it. Yeah, with a GUN. Oh, Bell. Oh, that's awesome. I'm so glad. And Gemma got one too. Kicked out? What do you mean getting kicked out? What happened, Gemma? I wonder about the whereabouts of Susan Atkins' son. So she had a son. You know, she ran away from home at age 14 and became a topless dancer before she met Charlie. Um, there was about 3 to 4 years, I think, of time that had elapsed from when she left home. And so in that time, she had a baby. And she had a son and put him up for adoption. I wonder about his whereabouts, you know? He's still out there, obviously. Getting booted somehow. Oh, I'm so glad we got gifted memberships. Thank you. Thank you so much. And good people got them, you know, people that are appreciative and that are in here all the time too. That's awesome. Thank you. Thanks. I'll make a members only video probably tomorrow. Tomorrow night I'll do something members only. It's time for another little something members only. Oh, I'm sorry, Jim. Yeah, so that's two things. I wonder if I would ever be able to get a hold of Leslie Von Houten after I thought she was out already, but someone was telling me that she's not quite fully released yet, and that she will be in the next coming 2 weeks. I would love to be able to speak to her and have an interview with her. She honestly seems the most down to earth, the most educated and well spoken. And from hearing her speak and looking at her, I don't know, in the interview when she was 44 with Diane Sawyer, you would really be mortified and astonished to believe the stuff that she was involved in, because she seems very smart and educated and reserved. You can tell that she internalized what she did. You can tell that she knows the horror, you know. You can see that she understands, I think, what she did. Susan Atkins, I don't think she understood what she did at all. No, I don't buy the Born Again Christian act. I think that's an act. I don't believe it. No. Because Susan Atkins used that to profit. She did the whole Born Again Christian shtick, and then she wrote a book from prison. She wrote a book from prison. I think it was called Manson's Girl. And then there was one called Child of God, Child of Satan. And she was able to profit off of this book, you know. So she wrote a book detailing her involvement in these horrors from prison and was able to profit off of it. That makes me sick. And that was before they made a law against it. Now they have laws where if you commit a crime, you can't go to prison and write a book detailing your involvement in the crime and now make money off of it. You just can't do that. Now it's illegal. They have laws. But then they didn't. And Susan Atkins was able to profit off of her horrific acts. And she had a whole fake Christian newsletter and everything else that made me sick to think about, you know, because she was responsible for unaliving Sharon Tate. And she was 8 months pregnant, you know. Then there's Tex Watson. Now, Tex Watson, I feel that Tex Watson was a true psycho. I feel that he was someone that would have done these things, whether he met Charles Manson or not. I'm really, in my head, I'm pretty sure of that. I feel that he was just a sociopath or a psychopath. He was the one that used the knife numerous times. He was responsible for the LaBianca murmurs, Stephen Parents, and he was picked up. Tex Watson was picked up, and he was a hitchhiker, and he got picked up by Dennis Wilson. Well, he became an ordained minister in his prison in 1981. And then he got married. He had a pen pal that he got married. and had 4 kids in jail. '76. He's 76 now. Patricia Krenwinkel. She met Charlie in 1967 at Manhattan Beach. She was involved in the night of Cielo Drive, and she unalived Abigail Folger and assisted with the LaBianca murmurs. She wrote Death to Pigs, and she was quoted as saying that she felt nothing as she K'd her. She went on in jail to get a bachelor's in human services. She was denied parole 10 times. Leslie Von Houten had said about Manson, he was like Christ. He had the answers. That he had said to her, let time disappear. There was no time. You could absolutely not talk about your past at all. Those were quotes from her. And another one that I thought was a very sad quote was, we gave up our birthdays. I'm not sure if that was Lynette or if that, I think that was Lynette Fromm who said we gave up our birthdays. You could absolutely not speak about your past at all. Let time disappear. There was no time. We gave up our birthdays. Yeah, so that was Beatles Revolution number 9. The Beatles Revolution number 9, Charlie believed was connected to, somehow tied to, oh my God, murmurs. Yeah, I was just trying to use more YouTube friendly language. That's all. Just for YouTube's sake. I'm sure I've said too much already, but I try. I try because certain words and you get limited ad suitability and you can't really monetize the video, but it is what it is, you know. Sorry. Oh my God. I don't know how is it so hot in here and I have the air on high. Gemma. Oh my God. Yeah, that is so funny. You guys are so funny. Melly and Gemma. Hang on, I'm gonna cam off for 1 second. You guys always crack me up. The two of yous. Oh my God. I can't. I'm sorry. I know it's like all over the place, you know. Like I said, I had so many notes and I really wanted to be able to do screen sharing with you guys. I didn't want for it to be so boring. You know, I want to be able to show like newspaper articles and pictures of the girls as we went through. But the main characters that we're going to be focusing on is Leslie Von Houten, Susan Atkins, Pat Krenwinkel, Lynette Squeaky Fromm, Tex Watson, Bobby Bousselet, Linda Kasabian, Mary Brunner, Bruce M. Davis, and then Clem. But I'm not sure if Clem was like a nickname for one of the other guys or what. So I still got to figure that out. Ha! Oh my God, Melly. It's so funny. With 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's 10 people altogether. And then we'll do one just for Charlie. So it'll be 11. So this will be like a 12-week series. Tonight will be the first of 12 parts. And then after we get through the next 12 weeks, it'll be 3 months from now. So let's see, July, August, September. We'll be in like the end of September, beginning of October. And then we'll start on either the IBLP or one of the other groups that I have picked to study. So guys, I'm probably gonna just kind of cut this off and make it a little bit of a shorter live. I do have like, sorry, okay. I do have like some stuff that I want to do before morning. We have to go pick up Evelyn from camp pretty early. Thank you so much for hanging out tonight, guys. I'm sorry it's not longer or more organized, but I'm glad I have my people that deal with me either way. I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks a million for hanging out. I hope it was somewhat informative. That's okay. I'm wrapping up anyway. I hope it was somewhat informative. This is just the beginning, the introduction to all of these characters. And next week, we're going to do a deep dive into the mind of Leslie Van Houten. So we'll do her deep dive next week. Thanks a million for hanging out, guys. Love yous. Have a great night. Mwah. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. Have a great night, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.